We are the heartbeat of the Caribbean, where the music never stops. New era TT Radio, Nett Radio.
It is not in the shimmers that you wear. It's not that figure that you carry. It's the beauty that's in your eyes that flow right to your heart where love resides. You want the universe. You stand for pride and grace. Beautiful woman you are. You're shining bright like a star. You want the universe. You stand for pride and grace. Beautiful woman you are. You're shining bright like a star.
And of course, that is what you get to do inside of this hour here on New Era TT Radio. You get to shine like a star. That's a song that does something to me. I don't know what it is, but I just love it. People, welcome to Pagentry here on New Era TT Radio. And of course, on Kyle the channel, we say welcome to everybody wherever you may be. And we say welcome to our host in between here, Adina, Pollard-Simon. Queenie, good day to you. Unmute your mic. You're still muted. You need to unmute your microphone.
I'm sorry. Good evening. Good evening,
Nice.
Charles.
Now I got you inside.
My apologies. I thought we were on. How are you? And what has the weather been doing with you?
I am well, and I have been having a fun time with the weather because I love the rain.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah,
I'm getting a bit of mixed rain and sun. You know how that could be. Well,
yeah.
we who are in the Caribbean, we are accustomed. I had a wonderful weekend. It was a bumper one, but nothing to complain. I'm just thankful. All right. Today, well, our guest is here. I'm thankful for my weekend. Yes, I'm seeing you, Devin. Yeah, she's all the way out in the New York City, people. And
Yes, yes, it's been a torture.
yes, and she's excited. People today again, for those who don't know, who have been tuning in and who have been asking questions and who has been for the first time on air. So I know Devin has supporters, but before we bring her on, I would like to introduce her for you all to get familiar with this lady. We have some stunning people in this industry. And the good thing about pageants, it is all over the world. So without further ado, we have today Devin and Arnold. She was introduced to the world of pageantry in 2016 when she came across the Miss Full Figured USA brand founded by Miss Teresa Sparkle Randolph. Seeing full-figured women love on themselves and display confidence is what made her fall in love with the world of pageantry. Love so that she competed for Miss Full Figured USA 2017. Even though she was placed second runner-up, the experience was everything. She needed at that time in 2018 to compete for the Face of Curvaceous, and in 2021, she ran for Miss Full Figured USA Caribbean and took home 2 crowns, not one people but 2. In August of 2021, she was appointed director of the Miss Full Figured USA Caribbean division responsible for recruiting and producing the pageant in 2022. She was successful to put on her first production and crown her first royal court. Raised on the island of St. Thomas, she moved to New York right after high school in order to seek out her career and profession, which she truly wanted. However, Life has taken many turns, and she's currently a payroll manager and obtained by CPP, which means Certified Payroll Professional People. So she's in the accounting department. Certificate by the American Payroll Association in 2016. Currently, she's planning the sixth annual Miss Caribbean Full Figure USA pageant, which is scheduled for September 2025 at the Hilton Newark Airport. People, for those who don't know where Newark is, that's New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yes. And I am happy to have you, Devin. Right? It's a pleasure. As I always say, when I meet you in person, but from now,
I
right here
know.
alive, I like to give people their flowers. So how are
Thank
you, Devin?
you.
How are you?
I am wonderful, Adina, and it's so beautiful to actually see you in person. I know we have never met, but it's always
Yes.
a beautiful experience. You know, today is like the second day of summer here in New York, and it
Mm,
has come out with a vengeance. So,
I know.
ah,
I know. But for us who are in the Caribbean, we are familiar with this type of weather. It's just that in New York, it's a little more humid and a little more stronger,
yeah,
right? I always tell people that it's good to have you. Finally, finally. That's the thing about pageantry. I always tell people that there's many division and there's so much room for
so
anybody, whether it's plus size, because I mean that's where I started
mhm.
in the plus size division. And I mean I have been around the moon, as we say, breaking a leg on the stage.
You have been doing it your thing. I wish my resume was as long as yours.
Don't worry, it will get there.
Pageantry, but you have definitely like the Tour de France.
Hmm. Thanks. And the intention is honestly to leave a legacy. But on that note, I would love to ask. I mean, your resume is so colorful, right? And I mean, it's nice to see the transition
Yes.
from being a delegate to now being a director, right? So this is a question one of my questions I love to ask every person, whether they are director or delegate. Um, what has been your biggest challenge in pageantry?
Ooh, well, from on the delegate side, it
From
was
the delegate and
from
also
the
as a
delegate
director.
to the delegate side
Yeah.
first. But from the delegate side, it was just choosing what I wanted to represent and look like on the stage. Um,
Right.
as you know, when it comes to plus size, finding the right fit, what you want to look like is
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
And even more costly than, a size 2 or a size 4, because
Right.
you do always want to, represent a clean look. And sometimes the look that you want or the look for yourself is not store bought, so you really have to dig deep and find someone that can meet creatively what you want to look like on stage. So me finding that look for me was hard as a delegate. On the director side, right now it's recruitment. It's
Ooh,
hard
okay.
to recruit women, because life right now is hard for a lot of people financially,
Yes.
emotionally. Like they say, life is lifing, right? And so who am I to come and say, listen, you are beautiful. I would love if you would, participate and compete in this pageant. And when they see the fees and then what it will require to, just bring forward a nice look, they're like, oh no, I just can't do it. So right now, it's a battle of you knowing that it's worth it because you've been through it, versus them who are so unsure and don't know whether or not they want to invest in something like this.
Okay. That's nice. I mean, it's every person to me has their story. Where
Absolutely.
pageantry, I mean, life on the whole, we all have a story.
Yes.
But where pageantry is concerned, um, you hear so many challenges, and persons would ask me, as you would said, I mean, yes, I have. I've walked the walk. I'm still walking the journey. I'm
Yes.
still laying the path. But I always ask people in terms of sponsorship, because there's a process, right, where you have to go through and the training. What would you say what would you say to someone who is thinking about entering, no experience, they're a bit scared, right? What
Yes.
would you say to that person in terms of how do they go about with, they have no previous training? Because I mean, we were all once there. Some people are fortunate where they have persons to train them and prepare them, but I didn't have that,
Right.
right? And
Right.
most times you would hear persons saying, I would like to enter into pageantry, but they are scared. They have no formal training. They don't know what to do. What would you say to someone who is in that position?
Trust the process and practice, practice, practice. There's
Yes.
so many resources now when it comes to pageantry. You have YouTube and you have TikTok now. Everyone is creating content on pageantry, on any subject matter, actually. So even if you don't have the monies to invest in a pageant coach, use the tools, use social media. YouTube is there, and trust me, there are so many persons that participated in pageants, walking for you, showing you poses and stuff like that. But
Yes.
one thing I love about, under my directorship is I actually hold workshop for the ladies that come in. So we have 2 to 3 in-person workshops where we teach you your T stands. We go through your posing. We, go through everything that we think that you need for the
Mhm.
platform. Okay, in terms of putting on your foundational garments. And when I say foundation garments, I mean they call it fajas. Back in the day we call it girdles, or
Yes. Yes.
the case may be, just to
Yes.
achieve that polished, smooth look, especially as a plus size woman. So use your resources. Look up pageant walk and, pageant posing and things like that. And then, of course, your number one asset is your smile.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
practice smiling, and your mirror is the best tool that you can use.
It's good that you mentioned that for those who are listening, because I mean we have a part of the program where we ask persons to calling, but today because the interview is yours and yours alone, and you're not sharing the virtual studio with anybody else,
Okay.
um I would not have anyone calling. I am taking messages, and
Oh, okay.
if they have messages as well, even after the show, I could direct it to you, and you could always answer. But I
Okay.
always try to encourage persons to come in whilst we are live,
Right.
because it's important for viewers. Even if they may not want to directly, but they may have someone indirectly. So
Hmm.
on that note, we'll go for a quick break, right? And I'll come back with some more questions for you.
Yes.
Okay, so I hand you over to Sir Charles and Gael at the same time. I don't know if you hear me at New Era TT Radio.
All right, thank you very much, Dinah.
Beautiful woman you are, shining bright like a star. You are in the universe. You stand for pride and grace. Beautiful woman you are, shining bright like a star.
The future of radio is here. New era TT Radio, Nett Radio. Let's go.
All right, people, and of course you are tuned in, you are locked on. This is Pagentry with Adina right here on New Era TT Radio, and of course Gael, the family. We want to say good morning, or good evening to them,
Thank you that you
and we are happy to have you on the inside. So Adina, short as it is, we're back to you.
Yes, thank you. And before I go back to Devin, for persons who are interested in advertising on this show or to make contributions, you can reach out to me, or even sponsorship to keep us afloat. You can either email Adina at ADINA, aka Queenie, QUEENIE 123 at gmail.com. Or you can either WhatsApp or send a text message to 477-3640 or 757-5591. And that's 868 for the TT numbers. Soon I'll be giving you all the US number so you all can reach out as well. As we go back to Devin, admiring her beautiful crown. I have had a few, and
So
that brings me to today's theme: confidence after or above the crown or with the crown. I use those words because I have been getting a lot since the show has started. I've been getting a lot of compliments, a lot of suggestions, which I welcome. But I want to also encourage persons, beside the calls and the text message, call into the show and suggest, because it's important. Your voice is very important. It's good to hear from persons who are suggesting, right? One of the questions I have for you, Devin, how? How? Because you're competing, you have your crown,
yeah,
and you are carrying a title. I think you carry a few titles well.
just a
How
few.
Yeah, right. Don't worry. How do you stay grounded, or what is your advice? Would you give to someone in staying grounded during the period, because there are different um pageant system? We have a template and some is similar,
hmm hmm
right? But there's difference in all. I always tell people that for
Yeah.
me, my
Yes.
experiences, right?
hmm
I have gone through a number, both in my country, regionally, internationally as well, right? Even in the US, I would have been blessed to take part. And I always take away from each of these pageants. You learn a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
Um, how do you advise somebody to stay grounded in pageants? What's your advice? How do you do it?
Well, first off, you need to stay true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what platform you choose to compete on, stay true to yourself. Don't lose who you are in terms of trying to fit in, because
Mm-hmm.
fitting in might not be a good thing, and there's good and bad in everything. And everyone has their own story in competing,
Mm-hmm.
and there are different. Right now, there's a pageant for everything, like you said. There's even
Yes.
a pageant for dogs and disabilities, and
Yes.
everything has a pageant this day. These days. But the best advice I can give you is be yourself. Be true
Mm-hmm.
to yourself. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't agree with something, it's okay to not agree with something. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So you
Exactly.
definitely express distaste or dislike in something, as long as you do it with taste, and you do it being true to yourself and not being disrespectful, because it takes a lot on both sides, whether you're producing or you're promoting the pageant versus competing. They're both invested, they're both spending a lot of money, so all
Mm-hmm.
views should be taken into accordance. So just be yourself and be
Mm-hmm.
kind to others. I always express, be kind to others. Everyone's pageant journey is never the same. No two
Exactly.
are ever alike.
Exactly.
Yes. So you want to be yourself, and then you want to be kind. So you don't want to be, malicious or so competitive that you don't show empathy,
Mm-hmm.
because you always want to take into consideration, if you win this crown, then people are looking up to you, and you want to be able to connect and communicate with
Exactly.
everybody from all walks of life. So you
Okay.
definitely want to be true to yourself, and then you want to be kind to others.
Yeah, and that brings me right. I have to agree with you. I always maintain respect.
Yeah.
There's other things I can add. Respect to your fellow delegates, respect to the directors, the committee members, because the process is not, as I always say, when you enter pageant, it's not like you're just going to compete and win a crown. There's so much other things that you walk away with. And
Mhm.
to me, they are lessons for life,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Because, I have, just like you, I have gotten a lot of sisters
Yes.
out of pageantry. And I have made friends that I have to say for life,
Yes.
right? That
Yes.
I can literally call on to say, okay, what do you think about this? So it happens to me a lot where my pageant family has grown so much
Extend.
that, sometimes it's a thing to juggle and balance the time. Because I know in the US here, sometimes the time change. And when I have to speak to people in Malaysia, it's like they are 12 hours in advance. South
Yes.
Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, and it's good to know we have a network. But
Yes.
what is your take on sisterhood? What are your views on sisterhood in pageantry? I know it's a broad scale,
It is.
but I would like to hear from you. What is your takeaway from that?
Well, I'm a director of the Miss Full Figured USA, and that stands for United Sisters of America, right? So we
Right.
are very, very strong on sisterhood, but
Uh-huh.
we are also women. And
Right.
unfortunately, women could be very catty, we could be very displaying.
I hear
We
you.
can do all of that, right?
Yes.
Being that way is a choice. And so when I speak of sisterhood, it's
Mm-hmm.
mutual respect, because we all know what it
Mm-hmm.
takes to be a woman, what it is taking to substantiate our households, our homes, our husband and wife relationships. We know what that is, right? We know what the sacrifices are. So even outside of pageantry, we
Right.
as women could be sisters and be respectful to one another on that level.
Definitely.
Outside of having the crown, outside of, because not everyone takes home a crown, but we are all sisters and we can all respect each other in that.
Yes.
Agree to disagree.
Of course. And as you said, I heard you mention husband and having families, because some people think in pageantry all we do is just pageant, but there's life outside of pageant. You have your home, and support is something I always stress on. It's important. But how has support been for you on your journey in terms of
It's
children, how the family overall, friends? I don't
still
know.
hard.
What would you? I would like you to share, because for someone who, some people, it's the reality.
Hmm.
Some
Hmm.
people do not have that support system,
They don't.
right? I thank God I have it, but I would like to hear from you. What
Yes.
support that you have? How you deal with that?
So when I first competed, I had no support. I'll be
Wow.
It was our contractual responsibility to sell a certain amount of tickets, right, to the.
Right.
And back then, I didn't have any support outside of my parents, and at that time, they were living in the Virgin Islands still. But
Right.
on the stateside front, I really had a very small community, and I didn't have any.
Wow.
Purchasing all of my tickets to the show,
Right.
because I knew it was deeper than that. I needed that for me. I wanted to compete for me, my confidence. At that time, I was 300 pounds,
Okay.
beautiful and 300 pounds.
Right.
And so to bring that to the stage, no one supported me outside of my parents, like honestly, no one. So I ended up purchasing all my tickets. And with competing in that and showing my confidence,
Right.
support started to pour in when I did something else, and the family started to believe more in me that I can do it.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
it was a rolling process. Some people with big families, they might have had that support right away,
Mm-hmm.
not be a fleet for them, but it was a fleet for me. I cried every day. Because I didn't have this support. But look at me now. So you
That's
gotta
good.
have faith in yourself first, and trust me, whoever's supposed to be on your bandwagon will jump on.
I
Will
have to give you
Thank
Yes. You said you mean, and we can relate because even though I am very grateful, I don't take for granted
you. Mm-hmm.
the support that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I am thankful for that. But there were times when I myself too would cry.
Cry.
I would cry a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot. It's a lot to
Yeah.
pack. I even have a horror story
Yes.
that
Yes,
um,
it's not easy because in terms of sponsorship as a delegate, I have a scrapbook, Devin, and one day I will bring it to the show where I would have sent out dozens of sponsorship letters where I had to, because in my case, yes, I would have took part in pageant in my community, in my country, but then there were times where I had to represent outside, and we will call at large where you are being called. You
right.
don't go to the national, and it's not a nice thing because I think this is something I lobby for, whether I'm competing or not. That the sponsorship, the support. I mean,
Yeah.
thank God for my family, my friends, colleagues, I mean, and associates as well. But there are times that I think in every system, I mean, I'm thankful to hear about the countries and the organizations who back their queens. There's no doubt there are countries who really back
Really
and
do. Yeah.
support because when you want to, I mean, in all fairness, and we are being realistic, as I always say, when you want to come out to give your best, it's not pathway, it's overall. It's
Overall.
in all the categories because the tickets is one. You have to appear, and remember, if you're representing your community, you
Yes.
want to bring your best,
Yes.
especially if it's on a national level. And
Mm.
then they have to walk away from that part now if you have to go international. So it's more preparation. And
More preparation.
yeah,
More
and sometimes you don't get that. It's not just funding. I told somebody if we have 10 persons who at least said, okay, I'll support with the shoes and I will support with and design this one and that. But sometimes when you send out these letters and then all you will get is we wish you the best in your endeavors. Unfortunately,
you,
it does something to you. It
absolutely.
doesn't matter. I always say that it doesn't matter how experienced you are, how confident you are. But that's when at that point in time, that's when you have to dig deeper.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And I mean, I always say the words are there. We have so many quotes. And as we're on the subject of quotes, is there any quotes that you live by as a queen? Or because we have so many, right?
I didn't understand your question. Any what?
Any quotes, or is there words that you live by?
Oh,
That
cool.
yes, quotes. That sorry, when I say quotes, that doesn't quotes in a figure, but like
Yeah.
words. If there's
Okay.
yeah,
Well, listen, at this stage of my life, mine is just lean out onto your own understanding. I have to keep it biblical because
yes,
there's so many things going on and so many doors slamming in your faces that you just have to trust in God.
yes,
And leave it all. If that's something that you really, really want to do, just believe that He'll never leave you or forsake you. So go forth and just continue doing the work. And
yes,
as you're going through the process, doors will start to swing open because it just has to happen.
yes.
Yeah.
Those are strong words. I came from a spiritual background, but I always tell people not there's the holistic part of pageantry for
Hmm.
me, right? And I have three words. I mean, I have a number of words. When you hear me say I have to dig deep sometime because recently I was reminded that Adina, as confident as you are and as supportive as you are, who supports the supporter? Who
Right.
supports the strong? And
This.
I have three words because I'm big on legacy,
Hmm.
right? I live by educate, inspire, motivate, and also aspire, right? Because you always have to be reinventing, fueling up yourself because
Yeah.
if you're no good for yourself, you're no good
No good for nobody.
anybody else. And I mean, these are the words where they say heavy are those who wear the crown, right? Literally. We know that walk and
That's
that
the
walk.
truth. That is the
Yeah.
truth.
So it's a lot, and I would never say I have finished learning. I am learning every day. And
Yay.
I'm I'm so happy to have you, Devin, because I mean we could sit here and we could talk off air, but there's gonna be people here from persons who have walked the
Yeah.
talk, right? I have a question for you again. From your country, are there beside yourself anybody that you look up to in terms of like Miss Universe or any plus category? Who are you the first? Are you a
No,
trendsetter or are you the first person that would have been?
no, we are no, I am not. I am not. And since I found pageantry here on the mainland, not at home, I remember years ago we used to call it Miss Big, Bold, and Beautiful, right?
Yes, yes.
And
I'm
they
familiar.
they went to take international as well. But there was this one lady, she
Mm-hmm.
what her name was Miss Shirley Sadler. And when I tell you she was like 6'2",
Wow.
and I mean beautiful dark chocolate woman, okay? She was
Right.
absolutely amazing. And she presented such a great presentation. It
Yes.
her first installment in my mind that wow, like we could do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've always looked up to her, and she's stayed.
Yes.
And I've become very close with her, and she
Mm-hmm.
a current inspiration in my life even till today.
Okay.
So currently there's so many titles. There's school titles and regular titles. And then there's our submissions into, Miss Universe and all those things. But she is the one that has held true in my heart to today.
Okay. That's nice. Well, for our country, I always tell people that Trinidad and Tobago is literally a small, or if you go on the map and you look at us, but we are small.
Big present.
I have some Jamaican friends who tell me, you're small like that, but you're big like a Talawa.
Yes, yes. Y'all have a very big presence.
Yes, because we have so many pageants, and I mean, it brings me to the time I have entered pageantry to now the moments. We have everyone knows about Penny Commission, Gisela Runwest. We have Wendy Fitzwilliam, right?
All the big
Um,
names.
Yes, so yeah, these are ladies who I've seen and others who have worked with, but in our position, because I'm always advocating for us plus size women, although I've been told that I know you are no longer plus.
We always plus.
Always, I'm advocating
Yeah.
on the healthy side as well, because as you get younger,
Yes.
right, we have to ensure that we
Yeah.
are there, right?
Mhm.
So for me, how do you view the landscape of pageantry, right? From your time when you started, I mean, my journey was a little further from you, but
Okay.
how do you view it to now? What do you think? Is there positivity? How do you see the pageantry landscape from the time you would have started now?
Well, I will have to say that back then I think it was a little bit more friendlier. Now it's a lot more competitive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of now that I mean, and pageantry has always been around, right?
Right.
At first, when it was a more unknown, everyone was kind of tiptoeing
Yes.
and being a little bit more friendly. Now,
Hmm.
it, the competition is fierce. Not that the sisterhood doesn't exist, but the competitive spirit is even more so than the friendly one. And that's the difference and how the landscape has changed from then till now. Even though it's a short time,
Right.
competitive nature of the women are now even more than
Okay. Wow.
yes.
It's interesting to hear that, because for me, as you rightfully say, that is true. I
Mhm.
mean, there are some systems where some ladies, I say this with no animosity.
Right.
Most times you would hear women saying, I just came here to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
We all came here to get the crown.
Right.
Right?
Plain
But
any-
in so doing, it's because, I mean, it's okay, as I told somebody, it's okay to give the little fatty, but respectfully,
Yes.
right? Because I am not spending all this time and money to just enjoy myself. Yes, the process, and I saw you use that word a lot, because that's one of the words that I use to my queens in particular, even when I'm speaking to persons who are interested in trust the process.
Trust the
right?
and it's
Don't,
something in your heart during along the way.
yes.
Even when people come in with that type of demeanor, trust me, by the time you start getting no's and you think you have it all figured out in your mind. And when
Mhm.
we start getting no's and when we start critiquing you based on what you think is, was perfect, then
Mhm.
it changes your disposition. But
Right.
I had a delegate about 2 years ago. She came in right off the break, and I have to say, Adina, she held true to exactly what she said. She
Right.
not come here to make friends. And
Wow. Strong words.
yeah, when I tell you she didn't. She was
Yeah.
on everything that she brought to the stage. Um,
Right.
it was unfortunate that she took home nothing.
Wow.
But yeah,
She did. She did her thing. Okay. And that what you're saying there, I'm glad that you're touching on that because there are some parts in pageantry that persons are afraid to touch on. And that is what pageantry talks about.
mhm,
To edify people, to educate, to make
yeah,
you aware. Nothing is wrong with somebody having a competitive spirit. I always say that. Nothing is wrong even when you are backstage and somebody may not have somebody to assist them in
right,
pinning a dress or to
yeah,
fix it.
help
Right?
out,
And it's even okay to fix a sash.
yes,
But we have to know at the end of the day what we came for,
mm-hmm,
right? But
mm-hmm,
what is discouraging and disappointing, which I have seen, and it's no secret, it
right,
has happened. Thank God for the pageants. I don't have it, but there are underlying challenges. Sometimes persons get so caught up in they don't even think to say, okay, could I? Because I mean, there's life, as I said after, but
mm-hmm,
you don't think to say that, okay, it's okay to pin a
yeah,
dress or to just fix your stash or to fix an accessory. Some people take it to a whole other level, right? But
I,
I learn, I observe, and I
yeah,
learn, and it's a process.
it
Again,
is.
it's learning. It's
I
learning.
tell my delegates, your competition is not with the woman standing next to you, in front of you, or behind you. Your competition is within yourself. You are, competing against your self doubt. You're competing against your fears or your insecurities that said you'll
Yeah,
never do this,
yeah,
and you're doing it. So
yeah.
you're facing that and you're beating that, not
Mhm.
the lady next to you. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, they don't decide who wins. The
Exactly.
judges that you're presenting for are the ones that decide that you win.
Mhm.
So it doesn't make sense to be, so gung ho that you can't wear or fix someone's sash,
Yes.
because the judges decide who win.
Yes. And I wanted to stick up in because we will come right back with I have a question where judges are concerned.
All right.
I'm so enjoying this today and I hope my viewers are enjoying as well because I'm learning from you, Devin. So I want to hand over to Sir Charles where New Era TT radio show station. They are lobbying behind us, supporting this platform as well as Gael, the Caribbean. They are supportive of this. I mean, coach, all these people, Devin, trust me,
Would be
patriotic talks would not have been possible.
yeah.
So it's just stick up in because I have some questions where the judges are concerned. So I'll hand you over right back to Sir Charles in
Okay.
studio.
It is not in the shimmers that you wear. It's not that figure that you carry. It's the beauty that's in your eyes that forays to your
Wake up with the Net Radio Breakfast Show. Rise and shine with Wendell Stevens and Richard Raghubarsing, weekdays, from 6 o'clock to 9 a.m. Start your day feeling good, energized, and informed as we tackle the biggest issues of the day, get you where you need to be on time, and keep you in the know about everything that matters. We bring you insightful discussions, expert analysis, and the latest updates so you're always ahead of the curve. Mornings matter. Your voice matters. And it all starts right here on New Era TT Radio, Nett Radio. The Nett Radio Breakfast Show, weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. Wake up informed and stay ahead.
Mid-morning just got better. Join Sir Charles for the mid-morning mix and mingle, where good music, real talk, health, and family matters come together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The mid-morning mix and mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, Nett Radio.
It's time for progress.
All right, everybody. So we are back. Time is going so quickly today on Pagentry right here on New Era TT Radio and Gael Caribbean. I always, it's in my system, Gael, the channel, but Gael Caribbean.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Adina. We're back with you.
Yes, thank you so much, Sir Charles. Yes, I'm Devin. Judging is a very, how should I say, sensitive area in pageantry. It brings me to the question, when persons do not get the results that they are expecting, especially on the night of a show. But before you answer this, I emphasize and I always encourage persons, especially if you are not experienced, even though if you are experienced, I always like to remind persons, before the final night, a director knows what they are looking for, right? So there are months, weeks of training.
Yes.
Of course, I think you will get a template or you'll get a rundown of the scores, and a lot of things are prejudged. We know that.
Yes.
That's the reality, right? Because we have prejudged events and
Yes.
then we have the actual show. I don't think that ever has a pageant that is only judged on the night of
On
the
the
show. Because,
show.
of course, you have miscongeniality, how you rapport between. What I'm saying all this to say, what are your views on persons who do not get the results, and then you have some consequences and the backlash and the outbursts and the what is your take on it? Woo!
Wow. I'm gonna tell you that backlash is something serious. And,
Yes.
it took me going through my first in 2021 when I was appointed
Mm-hmm.
to experience that, right?
Uh-huh.
Because everybody wants to win.
Mm-hmm.
And you do your best to give them all the tools necessary and
Yes.
the criterias so that they can bring forth what is needed to take home the crown, right?
Yes.
However, what I've noticed in the persons that don't, haven't made the score, didn't win, and they start backlashing, most of the times it's an internal struggle and it's an internal battle because they were given the criteria, they were given the rules, and some rules they just didn't follow. Some rules they thought maybe they could have not done, or something that was mandatory, they didn't do it.
Yep.
So it's an internal battle to me. This is my point of view.
Right.
When you get a lot of backlash negatively towards you, that pageant system, it's more of an internal battle for that person, because as a director or the producer of the show, that you've given the same information to everyone.
Yes. Okay.
And there's a lot of emotions going on the day of the pageant. So the judges are, they're given what to look for, but you're also given what to do. And if
Exactly.
judges don't see that, then they have to follow the rules and not give you a score or deduct a score.
Exactly.
At one point, I even had to do like a total replay of the show to show one, young woman that you didn't do it.
Right.
The video is here, and you didn't do such a thing. So I think when it comes down to judging and criteria, you are very, to be very transparent
Mm-hmm.
with what you are looking for so that they can perfect what you are looking for or whatever the platform, this pageant is looking for.
Yes.
And I also hold Zoom meetings before the pageant with the judges. They actually see the actual booklet. They are introduced by picture to the delegates, so
Right.
familiar. And then we go through the same criteria that is given to them on what we.
Right.
They are also instructed from on my on my platform at the Caribbean division, not to entertain or coerce with any family, friends, or cell phones
Yes.
during the pageant.
Right. Very good.
So yeah,
Interesting.
we give them very strict guidelines. I also appoint someone to sit with them as a liaison, so no one doesn't, come up to them or try to distract them or, make commentary or anything to them,
Yes.
because we don't want someone to say at the end that, oh, well, this judge, spoke to this candidate's mother or her sister or someone.
Right.
You don't know what transaction is being done. This thing is so sensitive that I isolate my judges. You are not allowed, while the show is going on, until those scores are submitted all together. You
Mm.
cannot converse or, associate with the judge at all.
I'm so happy that you're the first person that, I mean, I have other persons I would have had as guests on the show, but there's some areas in pageantry, and I definitely will bring you back. Definitely have to, because you have a wealth, and I mean, it's good when you're hearing other persons speaking, because sometimes as a director, because I hold that position as well,
Mm-hmm.
you are being misunderstood. You are also being misjudged. There's sometimes the communication, right? And it brings me to um the different tips. I call them nuggets
Mm-hmm.
that we all as delegates will get over a period of time, whether the person is new as a director,
Right.
because we have to start from somewhere. I remember my first year as a director, I was like, wow, this is so different, because
Very.
from a delegate point of view, and coming into the shoes, I
Yes.
call them the big guns. Now
Mm,
you have to steer the ship.
yes.
It had me thinking after my very first show, oh, as a delegate, we have just a certain portion. But as the director for the show, remember you are the event manager, coordinator, producer.
Mm,
You have to ensure anything goes wrong is
yes.
on your back,
Yes.
right? So you
Yes.
have to be fully aware. I mean, I am up for the challenge. I am thankful that I would have gotten it. And I mean, I would have shared a lot of tips here today, right? So for persons who are listening, I just want to reiterate, there's a lot of knowledge, and I definitely would love to bring Devin back on, because she shared a lot and you could take away from this. But we will keep in touch also as well, because what I would like, if possible, um hopefully to have one or two of your queens come on the show.
Absolutely.
I'm opening the door. That's what Pageantry Talk is about. There are other areas that I would like to touch as well, but there are some persons like yourself who will be a little more experienced but it's okay to have the ones who are first time, whether as a delegate or as a first time queen. It brings me to this question for you before you go. Was there ever a time that you would have not been placed in the winner's row, or the one, two, three, or the first five, whatever? And how did you deal with that?
Well, listen, I'll tell you this quick story.
Uh huh.
2021, before I was appointed,
Uh huh.
one of the delegates and I, we were really, really, really close.
Uh huh.
And we would cry tears together. So where the show is over, we're waiting for results, and we're all, so they go ahead and they announce the first runner-up.
Uh huh.
So everyone is in the back and they're looking at me and they're like, oh my God, Devin, you won, you won, you won, you won. Right?
Wow.
And then the name drops and it's not mine.
Wow.
And you can't drop your smile, right? Because you're
Mm-hmm. Maintain.
everyone. And the young lady who was very close to me, mind you, I was talking her into not quitting the entire time.
Tell me about it. Preach.
And she was telling me, girl, you won, you won, you won. And when they said her name, she didn't even, she was so busy telling me that I won that she didn't even realize that she won. Right.
Wow.
And I was just as happy as for her as I was for myself. So taking home the crown is not everything.
Mhm.
Your journey as a delegate is, even if win or lose, is just as important as a queen. And
Yes.
you can still do everything that you
Mhm.
want to do with a first and second. Because
Exactly.
you are that. That is who you are. You are, okay, first runner up, but you did it. And therefore the
Exactly.
title is yours. There are some queens that win the crown and the title, and you don't see their face again. They don't post anything about it again. And that's that. And you, as first, second, or whatever auxiliary category, you can still make a ripple in the ocean. So don't ever count yourself out, even when the name has already called.
Strong words, strong words. I'm so glad that you thought, you share your experience, because I have tons of, that it's a shame to see sometimes you build a bond. I mean, knowing me, most times, whatever, even if I win a crown, I always end up most times with miscongeniality. And it's genuinely me. That's just genuine. Even if I try, sometimes you will hear people say, Adina is the mother of the group. Can't help it, because I'm literally a mother and a grandma and an auntie. So,
And that's who you are. That's
Yes.
just who you are. You are
Yeah.
being true to yourself.
Exactly, and then there are times where you have that serious part, because I mean, all fun and games put aside, you came there and you used some words where it brings me to one of the quotes, because I mean we are sharing a lot of nuggets today, and I hope persons who are interested in pageantry take this very serious. Um, about greatness, I like to say this. So even if you don't win the initial crown,
Yes.
because there are persons I know who have gotten opportunities that is even far beyond the winner, and it goes throughout their life.
Mm-hmm.
Great opportunity that you would think, okay, the winner will get this. And I'm not saying that the winner would not get.
Right.
But persons who haven't actually gotten the crown, and they're doing well.
Yes.
Right? And I admire that. It's how you deal with it, right? How you deal with and accepting. I mean, sometimes you think, to me, if something doesn't work out, I go back and I do my introspection. I would watch over something and say, okay, I could have done this here. Probably. I don't beat up myself. I know once I have done my best, as a really competing, and this is no worries. So it gives me this. I want to share this quote. A queen is not afraid to fail. Failure is another stepping stone to greatness.
Yes.
Right? That's by Oprah Winfrey. And then there's a next one. No matter where you are on your journey, keep your chin up and your crown steady.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that crown that you wear, I mean, we have things to live by, because there are contracts and obligations. We all know this too well. But it's just a sort of encouragement and to seal the stamp on what you would have just said, Devin. Devin, I appreciate you so much, as I said. And I mean, the time will come. It's so funny. We are so close, but yet so far.
So far.
Right? Because I know everybody have their life. And I mean, thanks for taking time out of your family life.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Yes. I mean, that's the power of pageantry.
Yes.
And the talks. Because I sat down, this was something in the pipeline when I said, why not share? Right? I mean, we have no other show like this in Trinidad and Tobago. And by extension, this is global. It's all over the universe. And I feel blessed to know that I have my pageant family that I call on to do this. And they can call on me as well, because I am always wearing the different hats when I'm not hosting, emceeing, doing my stuff, judging. I mean, in the hot seat. I feel sorry for judges sometimes, because sometimes you will hear things mentioned about judges, and the poor judges has no idea. They have no idea. And that's good that you keep your judges away from the delegates.
Yes.
Because even though it may be persons you may know in the industry, doesn't mean because somebody knows somebody, they will favor them, because I know there are judges who are not biased,
Yes.
right? They do what they have to do, but then you will still hear the backlash of, oh, they favored her more, they did this one more.
At that point, they just saying whatever they need to make it feel good. It has nothing to do with us as directors or them as judges. So
Yes.
I learned that throughout my very brief course of being a director is just let them have that moment, and hopefully whenever they, begin to heal, then you guys can have that discussion and we can all live together in peace and harmony.
Exactly. So, Devin, I want to thank you on this note,
Yeah.
because I have a few information to share, and I hope you keep posted. I hope your people, and as I said, we would arrange to have a few of your queens come on the show if I have to get them
Yes.
together. We will
I'm
talk.
happy to.
Yes. Yes.
Congratulations on this platform, Adina. You're doing amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
At everyone, that gets the pleasure to be on the show will have a full time with you.
Of course. Thank you, Devin, and I wish you all the best in your endeavor.
Thank
We
you.
will talk more on your upcoming show in August, right?
September 20th.
September, sorry. We will talk more on that. So, and we, of course, I definitely would like to, and at that show, probably your queen, which will be crowned, we'll have her come on board as well. So, thank you again.
Well,
I
thank
love you, sis.
Radio. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Take care.
All right.
We'll hear from you again.
Bye-bye.
Yes, people, we would have had a lot shared by Miss Devin and Arnold this evening. And on that note, before we close, there is a pageant that is coming up in the Lavantil community area. People, there's so much pageants in Trinidad and Tobago. There's so much pageants in the US. There's so much pageants all around. So sometimes I'm getting called for all these pageants. So what I'll start to do is like highlight. I would like you all to look out, support. They are the young ones. They are pageant for mothers in Trinidad and Tobago. There's also the men. Oh my gosh. I have a pageant brother. He always say to me, don't forget us. So I know he's looking on, and I hope that the men, we will have a guy come on one day, or a few of them, a few strong gentlemen. We have kings who will share their experience in pageantry. And on that note, I want to remind you people to believe in yourself, have confidence, right? Never ever think that you are less than anybody else. Always motivate yourself, because I'm speaking from experience. People, I am thankful, and as I said again, keep viewing on this show, and you will be updated with all that is happening with Pageantry Talk. Expect bigger and better things as we grow, right? And I thank New Era TT Radio again, Sir Charles and his team, Gail the channel, Sire Graphic, all the wonderful persons who take time from their schedule to just wish me luck, and the viewers. Thank you so much for having me be your host and producer for Pageantry Talks. So any questions, feel free, email, sponsorship, advertisement, feel free to reach out to me. We have package. Love you all and have a blessed week. Back to you, Sir Charles.
Thank you very much, Adina. Thanks to the Gael family. And people, remember you're here on New Era TT Radio. This is Pageantry with Adina Pollard-Simon. Remember, go to our YouTube channel, like the channel so you can support us as we grow. All right? Thank you.
Time for pride and grace. Beautiful woman you are. You're shining bright like a star. You're one in the universe. It's time for pride and grace. Beautiful woman you are. You're shining bright like a star. It is not how fine the way you move. You're graceful